Okay, today I'm very excited because I'm going to be trying Copic Sketch markers for the very first time. I haven't even opened these yet. Alright, so I'm super nervous and excited to be trying these out for the very first time. Everybody who talks about these really hypes them up. They're like the king of all markers, so I'm so nervous. So I have two sets of 12. This is the skin tone set, and then this is like the X2 set. Each has 12 colours. And I've seen these go for a couple of different prices, but on the UK Copic shop, all of the 12 sets seem to be reduced from £110 to £69.49, every single one of them. So that's about the going rate of them, and that makes these pens about £5.70 each, which is a little bit more than the £2.50 I'm used to paying for these. I'm always so surprised by how expensive these are. They're so pricey. I really hope that they're worth it because I'm so excited and really hoping that they are as good as everyone says they are. I'm so nervous. I do draw a lot of people, so having a skin tone set is incredibly useful. I am a little bit concerned about the fact that these have these little circles on the front, like little swatches of what the colour will be, and they're significantly paler than what I would expect from the caps of the pens. It looks pretty good based on the caps though, but these look a little bit scary to me. It's like 50 shades of beige. So I actually drew an entire illustration for this video, and you know, I'm technically an artist, and yet this grid was the most difficult thing I've ever done. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how to make boxes all equal size. It's wonky. Let's just ignore it. Let's ignore it. We're gonna start with this set. There they are. Oh, there's a little. Oh, that's cool. And there they are. I've never used these before. I've never even touched them before. I'm a little bit flustered. So I'm sure you're all aware, but each of these has a like number type code and also a color name, which I really like. They have both a chisel tip and a brush tip. These are like what all the professional artists use. I am not a professional by any means, but I am incredibly excited. So without any further ado, I'm just gonna start swatching these. I'm like shaking. I didn't think I'd be so giddy making this. There it is. Oh my god. I like watched a bunch of other YouTubers videos about Copics in preparation of making this, and like none of them are making those noises. They're all very professional about it. Ooh. Rose mist. I'm sorry for making that noise. I'm so sorry. You've all probably clicked away because I'm making those noises, but I just love pink shades, and oh, that's a nice pink shade. Very pretty. So that's it for this set. Gonna move on and swatch these guys. These are all very similarly toned, I will say, but that's not necessarily a bad thing out of one set. It definitely means that you can get a good little colour scheme with these, just using one set. Okay, I am glad that these are darker than those circles on the front of the pack. They do look a lot more similar to the cap. I don't know why I'm swatching the colourless blender, but let's give it a go anyway. Yep, it's colourless. And black. Ooh, and it's very black. Wow, that's really nice. Okay, so that's the skin colour set. Another thing that I will say about these based on my very first impressions is that they're very buildable. Some of these swatches I went over a couple of times, and for lack of a better term, they are a little bit sheer with the first swipe, but then they build up really nicely to a really nice block colour, which is really nice because it just gives you so much more control over your artwork. That's something that I'm very excited about, and it is something that I've been learning to practice a little bit with brush markers since I've been using the Pro Marker brush markers for a little while now. I used to just use normal Pro markers with the bullet nib for a long time, so learning how to use brush markers has been a bit of a learning curve for me, but I'm getting the hang of it, I'm getting the knack of it, and I really understand now why people love brush markers so much, because they do have this buildability to them, and you have a lot more control over what colours you want to use and how you want to mix them. Okay, so I think I've narrowed down the kind of colour scheme I want to use. I want to keep it kind of warm and use these browns, yellows, oranges, that kind of colour scheme. Alright, so I actually sketched this yesterday in preparation for this video. I hope you can see it. I sketched it in yellow because just looking at the caps of the pens, I already had a little bit of an idea in mind of the kind of colour scheme I wanted to use. I definitely wanted there to be a lot of orange and brown leaves and things like that. I was definitely picturing this like autumn scene that was very warm toned. I think I'm still going to try and keep this as warm toned as possible with these markers, but it just might not be quite as perfect of an autumn colour palette as I was anticipating, but that's fine. But you know what, I'll give it my best shot. We're going to use these colours, I'm going to see how it goes. I'm sure it'll still look really pretty by the end. Well, I'll try my best anyway. I'm super nervous. I think I'm going to go in with these colours and try and do the skin first. So we'll see how that goes. Really, these are the most expensive markers I own, and I can't even put the cap on the back of the pen. Okay, alright, Copic. I really don't want to mess this up. It's my first Copic illustration, and I'm so scared I'm gonna mess it up. Maybe it was a mistake to go lineless with this one, since it's still definitely a style that I am not that practiced in, and I'm starting to get the hang of it a little bit with pro markers, but going in with Copics for my very first time and trying to do it lineless was maybe a little bit ambitious, and also with such a dark colour already off the bat. I mean, I really thought it would look really pretty if she had a darker skin tone, but it's going to be difficult for me to see my lines. I think I'm going to go in and line the face. I didn't want to do this originally, but I am really worried that it just will not show up at all if I don't. Okay, that's the skin done. It's definitely not looking too bad. I think once I do a little bit of outlining in pencil and just defining parts of it, I think it will look better. I think it looks odd because it's just sections coloured with marker and then the rest of it is empty. Okay, so this is a lot of the character finished now. I'm definitely not used to these markers yet. I definitely think that they are different from using other markers. I am enjoying using these. I really like the way that they go on the page. They're really smooth. They build up really nicely. I've noticed minimal bleeding out on the page, like little to none. I'm very excited to keep experimenting with Copic markers. I definitely think that I need some practice and that maybe I need to change my approach to my artwork a little bit. I do wish I'd done this bigger so I could focus on the details a bit more, because I think that what was actually supposed to be going on here is getting a little bit lost because of the way I'm colouring it, but that's fine, you know, this is my first time using them. I think it's going okay. The character will be a lot more defined once I go in and actually like do a little bit more shading with pencil, which I really like to do. But I'm going to go ahead and attempt the background, because I did plan a bit of a background for this. And again, I'm not sure if I have the right colours, but you know what, we're just going to go for it. We're experimenting today and it'll come out however it comes out, so I'm going to give that a go. These markers are a little bit difficult to use to fill a big section. It definitely seemed like they were more suited to doing little sections and to blending rather than filling in a big area. But that possibly could be my fault. It could be because I was being a little bit timid and I didn't want to like waste a bunch of ink out of these right away. So maybe I was being a little bit too timid to really use them to their full potential. This tree in the background definitely did not work out to plan. I have drawn trees before and they've turned out a lot better than this. This is really, really disappointing. I'm so sorry that you have to look at this. It's awful. I do apologise, but that's partially my fault because I was going in using markers I'd never used before, using a colour palette that I hadn't really used before, attempting backgrounds which I'm not really used to, even though I have done them in the past and they turned out okay. It was with different markers and a different colour palette, so I definitely made a mistake with that one. And the trees look awful, I'm so sorry. But the foreground didn't turn out too bad. I think the character looks okay. I did add a little bit more shading here and there, and I did some little bushes at the front and did the grass and stuff. I was a little bit nervous that this colour palette wasn't going to come together. I do think that this looks okay. It definitely wasn't what I had in mind. It kind of changed and developed as it went along. But I don't think it turned out too bad. I do think all the colours look nice together. It just definitely has a different vibe than what I was originally going to go for, which isn't a problem. And I think it turned out okay, considering it was my first attempt with these markers. But no, I loved using these. These were a lot of fun to use. They just go on the page so smoothly and nicely, and they blend really nice, and I had an incredible amount of fun using them, even though I definitely need some practice using them. I think it was a mistake to try and attempt to do a full background, which is something that I don't do very often. I think I was just really excited to use these and I wanted to do something big and ambitious, but I kind of wish I'd just stuck to colouring a character, which is kind of my forte, because I think that I would have created a better illustration overall to show you in this video rather than what this actually turned out like, which I think is fine, but the background I think just leaves a lot to be desired. I promise I can do better than this, it just didn't turn out right today. And I need some practice drawing trees, because that one is the most awful tree I've ever drawn in my life. You can't even tell what it is. Right, I'm going to go in with some pencil and maybe fix up a little bit of the background, because right now it's not looking great. At no fault of the markers, just my own skill has failed me on this one. But I think the character's looking pretty cute. I do just want to add some definition in with some pencils just to really define each object so you can tell a bit more clearly what's going on, because I think right now it looks very sort of painted and blended, and I want to give it a bit more definition. So yeah, let's just get on with doing that, and we'll see how it goes. Look, I will say that this illustration didn't go exactly to plan. It definitely looks different to how I was expecting. I do wish I just stuck with a character, because I think that the character looks really cute in this. I definitely should have kept it simple, just drawn a character, and then I don't think I would have been quite as ashamed of this image as I am. Unfortunately, I think I just ruined it with the background. I do think the character still looks cute, and I just added a little bit of extra definition with the pencil and added a few little highlights here and there. So here is the finished illustration. I'm definitely not proud of the background. I think it turned out a lot different to how I was expecting, and I just don't think that I am practiced enough at backgrounds to go in and colour one, especially not for my first time using these markers. So I loved using these. These are so much fun. They just go on the page so nicely. The colours are beautiful. I think that the selection of colours is really pretty. I think that maybe some of my colour choices were a little bit off, but the selection of colours that you get in these packs are really beautiful, and I would be really excited to collect more of these and extend my collection of colours, because I'd love to try out doing different stuff with these. Are they worth the price tag? I don't know, that's a really difficult question, because I do love them. I do think that they are really good markers, but they are so pricey. If you're getting into art, you definitely don't need these. There are plenty of really good, cheaper markers out there. These are definitely a little bit more of a luxury if you're already someone who is really into art or likes collecting markers. These are really nice to use. I will say they felt very smooth. The colours are beautiful, blend really nicely. They are really good to use. I felt very fancy using them, and I had a lot of fun. I think that's what's important. Even if the illustration didn't turn out quite to plan, at least I gave it my best shot. And I do think that the character looks pretty cute. Not too bad. It's the background that really ruins it. In my opinion. I'm very excited to continue practicing with these. I think I'll practice a lot with them off camera, and then maybe I'll make a video showing you some improved skills with these, possibly. But I hope you enjoyed regardless, and take care.